Hello everyone, I'm Greg Otta with FedScoop TV. Welcome to our IT Modernization Hero Series. I'm talking with Todd Simpson, the CIO of the Food and Drug Administration. Todd, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So Todd, can you share with our viewers a story of how your agency has made significant headway in modernizing its IT?
Well, a story that we've followed would probably be the assessment that we've conducted over the last year since I've been in the position. We've done a deep dive into several areas of our business, including our cloud ecosystem, our network, looking at our software, our data centers, and that all is pretty much driven by what we put in our strategic plan. What we didn't put in our strategic plan when we released it in October of 15 was the tactical roadmaps that we were going to follow to achieve the modernization and the proper alignment of IT to the business model. So that's kind of what we're working on now, flushing out the details, if you will. And the successes are coming in the form of stabilization, because with any modernization effort, there's always going to be low-hanging fruit in the beginning, obvious things that can be corrected very quickly. As you're doing discovery, you're going to trip over things that can be dealt with quickly. And then there are those other things, probably the other 90%, that are going to consume a lot of your time and take a lot of effort, a lot of dollars, a lot of capital, and a lot of planning to take care of.
Interesting. So the administration is proposing this $3.1 billion revolving IT modernization fund. What ideas do you have for your agency, or what type of systems are best suited for using this fund right away?
That's a good question. So I would say that the best place to start would be with the network infrastructure.
Interesting, okay.
And I would say that because we need the network to get to the cloud. And the cloud is definitely something that's emerging as a ripe field for which we can operate in. And I think that the network is probably a safe place to start, only because there are technologies out there that couple nicely with the ITSM model, the whole software-defined network, software-defined data centers, the hyperconvergence, virtualization. These technologies lend themselves very, very well to a tightly managed network strategy. In fact, one of the first roadmaps that we released as part of our strategic plan is our network modernization roadmap, come to think of it. So I'm actually practicing what I preach here, and probably number two to network and enhancement or modernization, I would say to look at the applications, the software development methodology that's in place, ensuring that there are proper standards to control the application sprawl and the way that applications are being developed. You know, when we talk about modernization, we would be remiss not to mention, you know, the legacy applications that I think all federal agencies deal with. I've seen COBOL in federal agencies, you know, so I've seen it firsthand, and I think that that's a good number two. And I guess number three would just be, looking at, I don't know, if I had to pick an area, especially with consideration for ITSM, I would probably look at decoupling storage and computing and trying to achieve some kind of a model where I could achieve scalability with my computing and my storage, so that I could pass that on to my customers in the form of a consumption-based model, a pay-as-you-go. So why should I have storage and computing sitting around unused?
Right.
That makes me, not a good service provider, not as efficient or effective. And then I pass those costs on to my customers. So I think those are the three areas that probably are most germane from a modernization aspect when I think about it broadly.
Okay. So next question. What is the biggest technology challenge you've encountered inside your IT modernization program, or what has to change in order to accelerate your efforts?
Well, I think the simple answer would be to have unlimited money in human capital.
Okay, outside of that.
Yeah, outside of that, I think that at least what we need to be aware of with any modernization activity or engagement is that it's going to take a lot of planning. And I mentioned the low-hanging fruit, and there is going to be some of that, but it still has to be planned out. And I think it's important to get executive buy-in behind it,
Right.
because modernization efforts tend to be long-lasting and iterative. Every time you invest in a new technology, you're committing to a modernization effort at some point in the future. Now, the cloud gives us some alternatives to that, but it has its own risks as well. And I guess, with proper planning, just being cognizant of that commitment that's needed, being cognizant of the need to have a good spending plan that's tied tightly to that technology enhancement plan, having a plan to look at the underlying business processes, I think is something that should be mentioned, because we still have paper-dependent processes in the federal government,
Right.
and we have systems that work with those paper-dependent processes. So, this is kind of a mantra of mine where I work, but we can throw technology at problems all day long, and we're not going to solve most of our problems. We have to start with the people and the processes. And once we fix those people and processes, especially the processes, then you're able to map technologies to those processes. And I think that modernization efforts have to look at the culture. They have to look at the processes. They have to look at the business and where it's going and where it wants to be. So it's bigger than just the technology. It makes me think of what one of my prior bosses told me a long time ago. The technology is easy. It's the people and the processes. So
Interesting. Very, very interesting outlook. Final question. There have been significant advances in cloud services, containerization, agile development. How would they change your outlook or your plans for the next 18 months when it comes to your IT modernization strategy?
Well, they changed the outlook significantly by being enablers,
Okay.
I think, and giving us more options. So we don't want to go to the cloud for the sake of going to the cloud, and I think that that's something that everyone will tell you. There's nothing in it if it doesn't add value or help move the business further. And I think that we're assessing our ability to move to the cloud when we do alternatives analysis, when we're looking at these systems that we're trying to modernize. We're in the midst of a huge rationalization exercise where we're looking at all of our systems, all of our software, and all of our data. So I guess at the beginning of any modernization effort, you have to know what you have, just like anything, and then know where you want to be. And the cloud, as I said, is one more enabler, one more option in that overall alternatives analysis. And if it has the right price point, if it has the right return on investment, and if it's good for the customers, then it makes sense.
Interesting. Appreciate your insight, Todd. Thanks for joining us
Thank
today.
you. Thank you very much.
For FedScoop TV, I'm Greg Otto. Thanks for watching.